Good morning, students. This is Michael Keats, a Grand Master of Rochester Fu, with another training episode in our series on how to defeat Dr. Glenn P. Bartholomew, an alleged biochemist and an alleged instructor in Santa Barbara County Fu. This is the ongoing East and West Coast rivalry of martial arts masters. Now, if you recollect the conclusion of yesterday's training, we've mentioned that we were going to be working today on footwork. What we're going to do is talk a little bit about footwork, and then we're going to incorporate that in with yesterday's training with our favorite training device, the little basketball, because that's just so cool. But first, to the footwork. The thing about footwork is this. It's really not a lot to it. Basically, your front foot, you want it to be not really pointed directly at the opponent, but I would say offset at approximately a 45-degree angle. Your toes, you want them to kind of grip the floor, and that takes a little experience, but once you get used to doing it, it's pretty natural. So you're almost clawing the floor with your toe. Now, as you bend down, the rear foot is pointed almost at an angle that is going directly perpendicular, at like a 90-degree angle to the opponent. So you really have your 45 and your 90. You can almost feel what your perfect stance is. You probably don't. The one thing you want to try to do is try not to get too low. Sometimes people do that. You know, it's kind of comfortable to be low, but you really can't get that low until you're really adept on your feet, you know, and almost on your toes to do it, because you'll end up down there and someone will move for you and they'll just, you know, be on top of you before you can react quickly. So make sure you don't get too low, but just get down a little bit, because your center of gravity is lower and your movements are more fluid, you know. Here's the thing. When you get down into that stance, here's what I want you to think about. Think about the crab who's crawling on the beach at the Outer Banks in North Carolina right now. And when you watch him walk, a crab has the most perfect stance. Now, he has more legs than we do, but we can still mimic him as best we can. If you watch the way the crab, when he moves, the height of his body between himself and the ground doesn't appear to change a lot. And that's what I'm looking for here. I want you to be able to shuffle very quickly to get into position, perhaps to strike or to block or whatever it is that you're planning on doing. But you've got to stay near to that perfect stance. Don't deviate. I want your feet to hardly come off the ground at all. I want the most minimal. Your feet should almost slide across the ground. You know what I mean? There should be almost an imperceptible distance. I don't want feet coming up like this, moving around. I mean, if you're going to kick, that's one thing. Just in the motion, like if someone moves and they go to strike and you go to make your move, your feet just shift and shuffle naturally. Now here's where that gets incorporated with yesterday's training. If you remember in yesterday's training, we were utilizing this ball as speed and distance training. So when you throw the ball out, maybe you'll jump out there and catch it. Sometimes we do that. We'll throw the ball way out there. And then you have to, what you're actually doing is, you're closing the distance. Your feet are leaving the area that it's in, coming in close. And this is one of the hidden dangers of a martial arts master that most people wouldn't appreciate. Most people perceive the threat to be coming from someone who's in reasonably close physical proximity. With a martial arts master, he could be standing 8 feet away, and in a blink of an eye, he's right up to you. So here's the thing I want to show you. When you get down into this stance and you're ready for the training, you get your feet spread apart properly, and you can feel your perfect stance. What we're going to do with the ball for the training today is we're going to hit it like this. As we go up, we'll invert our hand and hit it again. So we keep inverting our hand like this, but watch the feet. The feet are going to naturally shuffle because the ball is going to move a little bit, and you're going to have to come up to it or retreat in order to keep hitting. So what we're actually doing is we're combining a whole bunch of skills at one time. And again, this is something you can easily do on your own. But basically what we want to do is get to the point where that footwork goes on naturally, so that in the street, you know, should an opponent suddenly, you know, you could be standing at the bus stop, or you're fiddling with your phone and an opponent suddenly moves, and as you get into position, you automatically take care of your feet, and those things are just happening naturally. And that's what's required, really. What martial arts really is it's the mastery of a whole bunch of simple things that are taken and put together at once. But really, That's really what it is. It's really doing the same simple things over and over so that they're deeply ingrained in your mind and they happen almost unconsciously. Because with the speeds that are required to defeat a master, or even an alleged master, such as Dr. Glenn P. Bartholomew, a purported biochemist at Surgeon Corporation, you're going to have all these things come together, you know, pretty much unconsciously. Now, let me show you what I'm talking about. We'll try this and we'll watch the feet and just watch the shuffling that I'm talking about. And think of a crab. Think of the crab. That was a good example right there because the ball flew way out there. Now you can see I can do a complete circle and keep those feet in position. And this is what we want. We want to really see that? Even the masters are forced to struggle. But it's important to be forced to struggle. It's important for the ball to take a diverse jump because I want you to be able to jump and I want you to be able to get out there. So practice this a little bit and prepare for next week's lesson.